When we receive timber, it's typically wet. Before we process it, we need to dry it to desired moisture content. My name is Eliud Gadesha, and welcome to Timbercraft. The desired moisture content of timber is dependent on the intended use. It is important to choose a method that is economical, timely, and ensures uniform moisture release. This helps preserve timber strength and overall quality. If incorrectly done and moisture is removed too quickly, it may result to splitting, cracking, and warping. Let's explore different drying methods. 1. Natural drying. The natural method is the oldest timber drying method. It is achieved by stacking timber in an open space and allowing to dry naturally under exposure to the weather. It is most economical method of drying, requiring minimum investment. However, the downside to this method of drying is 1. You cannot control the moisture movement in the timber. 2. Proper stacking requires a much bigger space to ensure good airflow around the timber, thus requiring more space. And since this method is dependent on suitable environmental conditions, drying time is unpredictable and can vary significantly. Chemical drying process. This method involves injecting water-repellent chemicals into the timber to expel the moisture. This is a faster alternative to natural drying, reducing drying time significantly. However, this method poses two main challenges. Since the wood retains some of the injected chemicals, it may pose a risk to humans during handling or after prolonged exposure. 2. This method is more expensive compared to natural drying, making it less accessible to small-scale wood workers. 3 is electrical drying method. The electric drying method uses high-frequency currents to generate heat, causing moisture to evaporate quickly. This makes it faster alternative to both chemical and natural drying methods. However, due to high energy consumption, it is considered costly, and because it requires specialized equipment, it is limiting for small-scale woodworkers. This method does not allow you to control the evenness of drying of the timber, affecting the quality of timber produced. Additionally, the fast drying causes the ends of the timber to split. Number 4 is greenhouse drying method. At Elifani, we believe in innovation and sustainability. In the course of our 34 years of operation, we have tested different methods of drying timber, which has led us to experiment drying timber in a greenhouse. Once the greenhouse was set up, it reduced the drying time by 40%. The timber dried uniformly. However, we faced a few challenges. We had reduced the drying time by 40%, but it was not as fast as we desired. A greenhouse requires a significant amount of space, limiting the amount of time we could dry efficiently. Weather dependency was still a challenge because we had no control of the environmental conditions. Lastly, this method was not effective in eradicating pests. 5. Kiln drying method. A kiln is a drying equipment which works similarly as an oven. The timber is stacked inside with gaps in between, allowing for hot air to circulate, collecting the humidity in different directions. The humidity is collected and expelled out of the kiln periodically, and this process is done consistently up to a point of equilibrium in the timber, kiln, and the atmospheric humidity. Kiln safety measures. To ensure safety during loading and offloading of timber, the following protocols must be observed. 1. The kiln must be turned off when loading or offloading timber. 2. All operators must wear the appropriate safety gear at all times when handling timber. This is how the kiln works, a step-by-step process. Step 1. Loading of timber in the kiln. The timber is loaded into the kiln in its wettest form, as it is more malleable at this stage. Stackers are placed in between timber to create gaps that enhance air circulation. Step 2. Heat source. The heat medium is water. It is generated by boilers, fueled by the briquettes we recycle from sawdust. Step 3, heat circulation. The hot water travels through the radiators and is fanned, generating hot air that is blown through the timber, extracting moisture. Step 4, water recycling. Cooled water flows back into the boiler for reheating, and the cycle continues as a method of water conservation. Step 5, offloading. Once the desired moisture content is achieved, the timber is offloaded. Step 6, storage. The offloaded timber is stored in a controlled environment to allow it to acclimatize to atmospheric moisture content. Proper storage prevents pest reinfestation, damage, or deterioration due to weather change. The kiln is my most preferred drying method because it is effective in eradicating pests. It achieves the desired moisture content in the shortest time possible, and in my experience, it is currently the most economical method of drying timber. Whatever method you use, ensure you innovate and refine your approach until you achieve your highest result while minimizing waste.